Joining us now with details on how the proceeding will likely go, Attorney Arthur Aidala. Nice to have you back on Good Day. You've been in that courtroom a million times. How does an arraignment proceeding go like that, even though it's the former president of the United States?
So I really have been in that courtroom a million times because I found out yesterday when I went down there, they're actually conducting the arraignment in the same exact courtroom I tried the Harvey Weinstein case in.
The same one?
The same, it's because it's the biggest one in the courthouse.
Right. And which one, that's what?
On the 15th floor, yeah.
Floor.
And it's the same court officers team. You know, they're great, the New York State court officers. It's the same team that Harvey is doing this. And they're, look, there's a lot of coordination here. You know, Secret Service is really running the show in tandem with the district attorney's office and with the court officers. Here's what's supposed to happen. Mr. Trump is supposed to meet with his lawyers this morning at his Trump Tower. Typically what happens is right around, I don't know, 9 o'clock, 9:30, the prosecutor should email the defense attorneys the indictment, so that they now have a time to go over with their client what's in the indictment.
Why couldn't they send that last night?
They could have done it a week ago.
But they don't do that because...
They don't want it to leak, ostensibly, but right.
But meanwhile, somebody leaked to Yahoo News a lot of information that everybody's talking about this morning.
There's things leak. My big question is, how fast is his mugshot going to leak? Seriously. So because that's the big prize here. So we got to get Donald Trump's mugshot. So what's going to happen is they're going to meet at the Trump Tower. Then probably around 11-ish, they're going to start heading down to the courthouse. When they get to the courthouse, anyone here is in New York during UN week, you see these like white tents so that you don't see the dignitaries when they get out of the truck and into the hotel. Well, here it's going to, the president's going to get out of the truck and into the employees' entrance at the district attorney's office. He'll be with his Secret Service detail. They'll go upstairs. He will get that mugshot taken. He will get the fingerprints taken. And in short order, he'll then be taken to the courtroom. He does not need to leave that building. They're connected. And the judge last night, when I was having dinner with Mr. Tacopina, issued an order regarding the cameras in the courtroom and the video in the courtroom. He denied video. What he's allowing them to do is...
so he could have allowed video if he wanted.
He could have allowed it all, yes, absolutely. But it's totally in his discretion. Okay. So what he's allowing them to do, and this is what happened with me when I tried the Crane case there, is before the judge takes the bench, everyone has to take their seats, and then the media comes right, it's a very awkward thing, comes right in front, and they have like 60 seconds, and you're just sitting there, like, they'll take 100 pictures, 5 pool reporters he's allowing to take these photographs, then they will clear out, and then the judge will take the bench, and the clerk will ask the president if he has received a copy of the indictment and has he reviewed it with his lawyers. He will say yes. I believe the president himself is planning on speaking. And then they'll say, do you waive the reading of the indictment? Because technically he could read every page. Yes, they waive it. And then they'll say, how do you plead? And I believe the president wants to scream, not guilty.
So he'll do it and not the attorneys.
Yeah, typically the attorneys do it, but word around the campfire is that the president wants to say the words "not guilty" himself. That could always change.
I think this speaks to a bigger issue of like what Trump does is he wants to speak, and it would be very hard for him to not do that. The judge issued a gag order. Do you think that would happen?
So I think right after they do that part, though they pleading not guilty, that's the most important part. I think then the judge is going to say, all right, we're going to have to come back here in 6 weeks. They'll already have a date planned out, just for a conference to see where we are with this whole case. And I believe, this is a guess, he will address people making statements outside of the courtroom.
AKA Trump.
Everyone, the lawyers too.
Yeah.
The lawyers too. Like, now that he's indicted, it's a different game. Mr. Tacopina and I discussed it last night. Before indictment, it's a free-for-all. Now you have to abide by the rules. And the ethical rules for lawyers are you are not allowed to make prejudicial statements, statements that could really taint a jury pool and especially intimidate a witness. And I think that's where he may be looking at Mr. Trump saying, you know, I'm going to watch everything you say, and if I think you step out of line, I'm going to call you back here and I will slap a gag order.
And what happens if he breaks that gag order?
Okay, it's a crime. What has to happen is the judge would have to make a specific gag order, what he can and cannot say, and then if he breaks it, it's an A misdemeanor, contempt of court. You could get up to 30 days in jail or I think $1,000 fine.
Right. What happens, though? I mean, as you know, the key witness is Michael Cohen. And Michael Cohen's been out there speaking and almost taunting Donald Trump, relishing in the fact that he is going to be brought up on charges. How does that work out?
Well, I mean, since we all did a lot when I did the Harvey Weinstein trial, we were in the same boat. We weren't allowed to speak, but there's Gloria Allred every day beating the heck out of us, and we're not allowed to say anything. We asked the judge, could you reel her in? Could you say something? No, no, no. So sometimes it just stinks and you're out of luck and you got to keep your mouth shut and just take the incoming and try to win that case in front of a jury.
So can we talk about who's in charge as far as the legal team? Because, you know, Joe Tacopina has been front and center, and now we're hearing that Mr. Trump has retained another lawyer, Todd Blanche.
Todd Blanche is a lawyer who represented Paul Manafort, but I don't believe at a trial, but look, you don't know what's going on in Mar-a-Lago and how many people are talking to President Trump. You got to do this, you got to do that. Look, Joe took the baton and he went out there and did a total media blitz, which is exactly what President Trump wanted, and he defended him artfully. The restaurant we were at last night, guys, Tacopina got a round of applause. People were like, go, Joe, go. Some guy came over and he said, Joe, I can't stand Trump, but after watching your appearance on television, I think you did an unbelievable job and you changed my mind. So all of a sudden now, why the night before a new lawyer pops up? In my opinion, totally unnecessary. Susan Neckles is a brilliant trial lawyer. Joe is spectacular. They have a dynamic duo. But I don't know if the president is panicking. There's no reason to bring in someone last night. Today's arraignment, a first-year law student could do it. It's very simple. It's not hard at all. So you don't know what's going on, but there's no fighting. Mr. Tacopina said, Todd's a good guy. He's a very smart guy. Guys, he had to resign from a very prestigious job, this guy Todd Blanche, to come on the team because these big law firms don't want anything to do with President Trump. So it's interesting. One little fact that I didn't know, I was like, I wonder if the Judge Merchant, is going to refer to him as Donald Trump, President Trump, Mr. Trump. So I went and asked the two lawyers who work with me, Barry Cammons and John Leventhal. They're like, no, 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 in the courtroom there are no titles. So he'll just be Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump.
Okay.
Well, what's your thoughts on this judge as well?
So he tried the Trump Corporation case, and Susan Neckles was the lawyer there. His reputation in the courthouse is he's a pretty good down the middle. He leans a little towards the prosecutor, but most of them do. Before I had dinner with Mr. Tacopina, I actually had dinner with Governor Patterson at Rayo's, and Governor Patterson appointed this judge, and he's very proud of him. And I don't think he's like a backslapping, happy-go-lucky kind of guy. He's a pretty serious guy. He'll make sure he is in control of that courtroom. He will make sure the prosecutors know he's in control. He'll make sure Mr. Tacopina and company know that he's in control. But when it comes to his legal rulings, you know, he'll go down the middle. One thing that I don't see happening, people keep bringing it up, is I don't see the judge just dismissing this case.
Right.
You know,
because
like, the judge is going to dismiss.
Joe Tacopina has been talking about. Listen, you're going to be with us all morning.
So I hear.
You're working your contacts. Don't come back here with any like old information. New information the next time you're back.
I'll go call the court officers and see what they got. Because they, you know, the court officers and the clerks, they know everything. They know more than anyone. They're great here in New York.
Arthur Aidala.